he used this, and by this I mean a 20 gauge steel template. I used 20 gauge steel for this just to shape a simple shape and then pull the pattern off of it. To get this template, it's actually wrinkled up because I threw it away preemptively. I still do need it, but I transferred this over to steel. And now I've got the blank laid out and a couple of the tip lines and, you know, this curve here inverted right there. So this will sit there just as one piece, one cap. It's going to have the windshield flange in it as well. The full flange, there's not going to be another flange that welds on. It's all going to be hammered in and broken over and done the proper way. And then this back edge is going to be flanged over and eventually welded to this flange that I made in here, and that's going to start making the boxed in A-pillar. Should be really strong. Now we did buy aftermarket A-pillars, but we ended up just cutting them here when we did the roll cage, so now I'm having to reconstruct all this. And then setting this gap is crucial, so I'm gonna have to adjust it a little bit more because this gap up here is nice. So I'm gonna get this panel on this same plane. I'll cut it in, make it flush, and then adjust this. That way we get our nice, you know, 3/16 gap around there. Okay, so I'm gonna begin. I've got one of these blanks cut out. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this to another sheet of steel, get the opposite side, and then I will mark these lines on the other piece. That way I have two identicals. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'm gonna show you how to start. I mean, the more intricate part's gonna be this, you know, where there's a lot of stretch in this area and it goes down and it's a little Z channel. And so that windshield channel area is gonna be fun to do. I'm using this tool to make a reference to how I'm gonna mark the backside of this other panel. That way I make two opposites and don't happen to accidentally make the same one. Flip it over, make a couple quick lines. That's where this wrinkly template's gonna go back to. Gonna have to iron that back out. But that'll at least give me a line to line that back up to. And I'll try to find a couple other lines, at least two, to line it up. That way it's identical. And get this to look just like that one. Put a piece of contrast down. That way y'all can see. That way I can see. Booyah. Gotta have my hammers right. Yeah. Get your tools that you might need. And I used to use one of those deburring tools that go this way, but I've done way more damage to my finger with one of those things. Slipping off and hitting the edge of the panel. Got to the point to where I just got done with it. I'm over it. I know there's different ones where they, you know, come up on the edge, and those ones are decent, where it just takes a small strip out of both sides. I do like those, but I'm super traditional. There we go. Now I'm gonna transfer this to a piece of template material, a better piece of template material, because this is not gonna work. I need to double check it to the other one, make sure these are actually identical. Okay, now I'm transferring this new template, a sturdier template, to here and scribing a line. That way I can at least get something started with the tipping die and the bead roller. That way it'll mark it for the other side, and then I can start hammering in the intricate parts. Again, make sure you do opposites that way. So here's the scribe lines that I made. These are the lines that I'm going to need to run through the tipping die. But since this one's straight, I'm gonna just break it at like a 5-degree angle just to mark it. To be visible from this side. Then I can come back and sharpen it up with the tip line. But I'll do that to both of them, and I still need to put shape into the A-pillar, but getting that tip line established is gonna be good. Good morning, Joe.
Morning. Tacos.
Tacos? Now, if your brake has this little cavity over here, you can have a piece sticking through there, and it won't break over with the line, which is nice in this instance, because I don't want that to break over. And again, I'm just trying to get a couple degrees in it, just to get a mark. Back to the old rubber band on the English wheel. I use this probably in every shaping project at least once. It's an amazing way to get shape into a panel really quickly. I mean, it's form, but form is also shape. And now we can kind of check it with the steel template to see how close we were to that, and it's pretty close. I just need to do some shaping up here, but I can do that after we get the windshield opening established. This is what we got so far. Need to keep rocking with it. Now we've got the old 4x4 trick again. Whatever piece of wood you can find lying around, clamp it in the vise. And I know I need a bunch of stretch in this area. This is just gonna need some manipulation, some form. But in here, I'm gonna need to go a little crazy with the stretching. I got close with that one, but definitely try not to get past the line. Okay, let me get a chisel and kind of redefine that line across there again, and then I'll just keep going back and forth with it. Now here I'm just trying to keep that edge in check and keep the metal going in the right direction. It can get out of hand whenever you start hitting it into the wood pretty hard like this. Okay, now I need to go ahead and get the dimension that I need for the channel. You know, the dimension from here to wherever it goes back to flat where the windshield sits. So I'm gonna go grab that real quick. So this is the channel depth. I need to make a quick line to go to. Which is good. Don't have much further to go. Now typically we don't want to have this interference, you know, where that hits when we're tipping it up, but this, in this case, it's actually gonna set the channel depth by tipping up here, and it's gonna leave a good mark coming down this way. So the distance between there and there is our windshield channel depth. And remember, don't try to tip it over to too tight of an angle on the first pass. It can try to walk on you, and there's always ways to tighten up the angle after you get it established. Okay, now I need to make this flat between here and here. Well, yeah. In between there and there, it started to get a little rolled edge, and I need this to be nice and crisp. So I'm gonna come back and sharpen this line up. Now I've said it before and I'll say it again, but moving lines like this and sharpening them up with the dolly and the vise and the slapper and, you know, inverted on a shop bag, that's the bread and butter of fine tuning edges. Oh yeah. Looking like something now. Okay, I've kind of hit the point to where I'm going back and forth and doing some fine tuning on this piece, and now that means I need to get this other piece to that same point. That way I can keep them at the same pace. And I feel I have to say it again and again, but don't hit it too hard with the sharp chisel end on the inside of whatever with a hammer. It will make it really thin and it can crack. As soon as you hear it hit on dolly, you need to stop and just kind of move. It's really just to sharpen it up. Once it's sharpened up, there's no need to keep hitting it. Go. Now we're trying to get this line a little straighter. You know, make these two parallel. So a little bit of shrink and stretch along this. Then we need to keep in mind the height of the actual channel across that curve. Keep going back and forth. Now putting this little rounded universal dolly in here allows me to add a little shape next to the crisp edge that got flattened out just from sharpening it up. Little trim here, trim there. Excuse me, sir. Trim that, bring this down, slide on in. Oh yeah. Okay, can work with that. Get a little more shape up here. It's gonna be good. All right, now this is that second one. And this trick of kind of tacking it onto here and keeping it in check is really nice. Now I've tacked that 16 gauge rectangle to the edge of the table to actually butt up to the back side of that corner, and it's gonna keep it in check as I fold it over a little bit further with the chisel. Now you don't want to over weld too much. The tacks will probably break through the process a couple times and you can just remelt them. I'm not over welding it, I'm just getting it a good enough tack. I remember once you get it going, just keep it consistent. Get some inertia. And that one already broke. It's okay. Both of them broke. It's okay. This is fun. We're having fun. We're having fun. Now after looking at how nice this one's going, I think I'm going to tighten this one up a little bit more because it does kind of, I think it needs to be more of a 90 from the outside of the skin to into there. More like up here, it does kind of twist. So after I get this one, I'm gonna put this one back on there and manipulate it a little bit more. Which this one might be a little tricky now because it actually has some shape across here. So it's not gonna sit flush to it, but we'll figure it out. All right, decent. Now this one's gonna be kind of cattywampus, but I think it'll still work. I can at least get that tacked over here, and this is sitting pretty close to level to there, and this is shooting up, so it means it'll still, once I push that, I can get that broken over a little bit more, which is good. Presto! Gotta burn that in a little bit better. Right. There we go. And make sure it's at least far enough, if not further than I want. It's easier to open it back up. And while it's here, do 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 boo 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 boo. Get a good sturdy dolly. Check the angle. This is the angle that we want in relation to this, so now I need to just try to match it all the way down. It already looks I don't know, maybe that needs to go a little bit tighter. I don't know, but this definitely needs some. Nice. I think that's gonna be good. Cut it off, check them. Sweet. All right, now that I've got this pretty much well shaped up to here, I got the glass out and I need to put the glass back in and set this. That way I can drill these locating holes. Whatever you do to one side, do it to the other, right, Kevin? Nice. Here I've got that line that I can just line back up there. My reasoning behind cutting this little section of the roof out is to get the windshield channel lined up from the A-pillar to the roof so I can locate the A-pillar cap to the roll cage structure. Oh dear. 'Cause we're two of a kind and we're working on full house. All right, so I basically have these A-pillars fit and screwed into place. The other side needs a little bit of adjustment, but it's pretty much there. So I'm noticing that this one, the angle is proper and it's actually, it fits nice and flush and the dimensions are good. But on this other one, I need to tighten up this brake. It didn't really work exactly how I wanted to on the edge of the table. So now I'm going to use this chisel end dolly adapter thingamajig. And I'm actually gonna set it behind here and then hit right on this flange, and it's actually gonna transfer through here and break this a little bit more. So it's gonna wrinkle quite a bit across here, but I'm just trying to get the angle here better. Now when doing this, it's really crucial to actually hit in line with that flange. That way it transfers through that flange and actually breaks that second break. And that's what I meant by it's gonna wrinkle quite a bit just because it's tightening up this, and it needs, this metal needs to move somewhere. But now we can just come back and smooth this out, check it back with the car, make sure this curve's still good, and keep on with it. I personally love this little interchangeable dolly shape kit. It's just a quick release. You can put different ones in there. I've shaped a few, I've made a few, and it's really awesome just for changing out dollies pretty quickly. They're not very big, but they do work well. And that little interchangeable kit right there is made by Iron Ton. It's really affordable if you can find it. And this is a quick way to get a little bit of this bow out of it. I need to flatten it out a little. So just in between two objects, doesn't matter what it is. And as long as this flange isn't too tall, then it'll move pretty easy. Even if this flange is taller, you can just hit it harder. Something might buckle, but then you can just smooth it back out. And this is how the flush mount glasses are gonna fit. You know, it basically is exactly how it sounds. It's just flush with the outside of the body. We're gonna set the body slightly lower than the windshield so it can get body worked up to it. No matter how nice the car is, there's always body work, especially in builds of this quality. So we're gonna set the body a little bit lower. They can fill up to it. That way it is true flush mount when everything is said and done.